Yo, what's up YouTube? No, a bomb didn't go off. I just woke up and I'm excited because I'm going to dive into this bad boy right here. I have the documents. I've always wanted to say that. What is this? This is a 40-page paper that is declassified by the CIA. It's all about the gateway process, which is altered states of consciousness using hypnosis, meditation, binaural beats, how to achieve them, or if it's just BS. So this is really dense, so I'm gonna brew a cup of coffee, I'm gonna start diving into this, and then I'm gonna give you my biggest takeaways in this video. This is gonna be a lot of fun. You guys ready to geek out on some top secret declassified information? Holy cow, guys. This document, 30 pages, was crazy. They were doing this in the 70s, 80s, right? That's 40 years ago, so who knows what kind of experiments they're doing now that are still classified. This document basically goes over the Monroe experiments and Bob Monroe, who leads that institute, was doing with the CIA. Their goal was to study remote viewing, things like astral projection, out-of-body experiences, and see if they could somehow induce those through a series of exercises known as the gateway process. Nevertheless, let's geek out. I'll give you some highlights. So if you choose to read this or not, this video will hopefully underscore some stuff and simplify a lot of this powerful info in here, because again, it is pretty dense. So I lied. Instead of spending 1 hour just to read this, I've literally spent the past 5 deep diving into this, validating things, making sure it was true, finding out what other people say, what experts say since these were taking place. And it gets even crazier than I look. I came up with 6 massive takeaways from this article that I want to walk through and go over with you. The whole goal of all of this was to explore really one thing, that is altered states. Well, how do you get in an altered state? And the goal with all of this that they walked away from was that it comes down to one core principle, that is getting your brain in a state called Hemisync. All right, understand that your brain right now has a left and a right hemisphere. Think of the right hemisphere as this playful, childlike, creative source of energy, right? All the best creation comes from there, okay? But your left side, if you remember science or anything like that, your left side is very logical, it's very analytical. It needs, think of it like binary switches, like on and off, like a computer. And so what happens is that this is like the adult and this is like the inner child. So the adult is giving commands to the inner child and you can't access it. In other words, whatever the left brain says is true, your right brain goes along with. So Hemisync is a state of where you pretty much beat the left brain into submission. Like you got a chokehold on it. You're like, you're giving in, and it gives up, and your brains actually work together. Your hemispheres work together as one unit, and you can actually go beyond yourself, tap into your full power. You know, you've heard that saying that you only use 10% of your brain, right? Or 90% is going unused or unconscious. Well, when you get Hemisync through things like we'll talk about in this video and the gateway process was getting at, they actually start working together and you can unlock your full power. And in this case, you can get access to higher dimensions, you can get access to your past or future self. In other words, you can become a total badass. The second main thing with Hemisync, and this is so important, and then we'll start geeking out and going into how to, we'll get into all of that. We've talked on this channel a ton about accessing your subconscious mind and reprogramming it, right? In this article, they were talking about the Monroe Institute and how brainwaves affect Hemisync or not. So powerful. I love this part. Understand that you have 4 predominant brainwaves. I know there's 5 with gamma, but let's exclude that for the sake of simplicity. Up top, you have these really high functioning beta waves. Okay, these are really fast. They're going crazy. Most people spend their day in a beta state. Drink a bunch of caffeine, it knocks you up. Again, your logical brain is taking over that left side, so you can't access your creative side. Now, beta states are great for filing taxes, doing some accounting, trying to bang out a college term paper, but it's really bad for getting beyond yourself. Once you get past that beta wave, you start calming down, you start beating that left brain into submission, you're able to access your alpha state. Alpha brain waves are much slower. When you're deeply relaxed, you're in this state. Then ultimately you get down to theta and then delta waves. Now delta is like what deep monks get into. That's like you're really passed out in a deep sleep. Theta is much more realistic, and that's really where a lot of the Hemisync starts to come in. If you've read Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural or Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, we have book reviews I'll link down below. It talks a lot about how to do this. And the major takeaway is meditation. The same answer that ancient texts that are thousands of years old have told you. But I love the brainwave science that this goes into as well, because it reconfirms what we already know on this channel, what we talk about together in the content, and the CIA was researching that. The next point is on binaural beats. You may have heard of these if you watch any meditations on YouTube. They say binaural beats at these frequencies, but Monroe talks in this article or his research, and I want to geek out here a little bit because a lot of the ones on YouTube are doing it wrong and I had no clue. Now remember, everything vibrates at a frequency. So your brain waves, what we just talked about, right, going from beta, alpha, theta, delta, right, those are vibrating at different frequencies. So if, just like I had a tuning fork right now, in this case a water bottle, and I hit it and it starts vibrating, well, the other one's vibrating at a different frequency, and together they come together and they produce one. It's the same thing with binaural beats and how it works with your brain to create that hemisync. So what it does is it plays a frequency in one ear and another one in the other, and what you have harmonizes together as a certain brainwave to match those lower ones so you can get beyond yourself faster. So cool. They talk about how around 4 to 7 hertz in their gateway experiment when they were doing this with participants was about ideal. Cool takeaway right there. So you know when you're looking for high quality binaural beats, 4 to 7 hertz works. Another thing, they said they use stereo headphones. So I didn't know this, but a lot of times with binaural beats, and it makes so much sense, I would just pull up my computer or my phone and I would meditate without headphones because I didn't want to go through the trouble of it. But he says that if they don't have 2 frequencies that harmonize in the middle, there's really no benefit because you're just hearing one. So you want to use headphones with binaural beats, and ideally you want them with left and right panning, so stereo. So again, like that tuning fork you get in the middle. Next section, this is one of my favorites. All is one and one is all. Huge takeaway I got from this is that everyone is connected, everything is connected, our entire universe, our galaxy, everything down to the subatomic level is connected. In these documents, it talks about how your brain is cushioned in your skull, and around it's like the cerebral fluid, but the cushion is called the dura. Now this dura, when you get into different states, your heart, okay, that actually vibrates at a different frequency that goes up through your body and can influence that sac around your brain and vibrate it and kind of massage that cushion. So your heart and brain are connected, and your heart actually produces its own intelligence. This isn't listed in here, but we're finding out now through institutes like the Heart Math Institute that your heart can influence your emotions. There's certain hormones that it secretes. Love this. But here's where it gets crazy. So together, the heart and the brain, when they're vibrating together at the same frequency, they say that it produces an energy field that's so powerful it covers the circumference of the earth, around 40,000 kilometers. Now this frequency that it emits when they're in tune is so powerful it can break through water, concrete, metal, any man-made structure, and it vibrates. So why does that matter and why is that powerful? Well, I think it's cool that when you work on yourself and you raise your own vibration, right? When you meditate, when you put love out there, you're influencing the global magnetic charge of the entire Earth. Every person on the planet benefits when you take care of you, when you radiate love out. Everybody is lifted up together, just like a rising tide raises all ships. It's the same thing with your vibe, your energy. And so I love that it gives that level of importance to meditation, to working on yourself, to love. Because if you want to change the world, start with yourself, and it really works. Another side note is in here, it's talking a lot about Einstein's theory, and he was big into quantum world of change and all that stuff. And look, if anyone understands quantum physics, they're lying, okay? Because people who understand quantum physics, even experts say, look, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Like, we don't understand this. We're still learning a lot about it. It's one of the most confusing and complicated things to study because, yeah, even when you study it, things start to change at the quantum level. All particles at a subatomic level, and this is just mind-blowing, they have a Siamese twin. Okay, so let's just say particle A and B splits off or whatever, and they're Siamese twins. Even if these two particles are on opposite sides of the universe, when one moves, the other one starts to mirror it. It moves as well. At the quantum subatomic level, things are mirrored together. You have a Siamese twin. So what can we take away from this? Well, your thoughts have real implications. So if you're thinking a certain way, on some energetic level, it's influencing another thought or another person or another being. And talk about manifesting right there, where thoughts are things. Your thoughts have real world implications on other people, on lives, on what you get. Science behind manifestation right here using Einstein. And one crazy phenomenon that I remember, I don't even remember what it's called, but I know it loosely, is where they had monkeys on an island, and I believe they were learning how to fish, and they were on some secluded island. When they learned on that secluded island how to use the tool to get the food, without having any contact, monkeys on the mainland learned almost overnight how to use that tool. If that doesn't give you goosebumps, I don't know what does. Again, backing up that all is one, one is all. Before we go any further, I'm really curious, what's been most valuable to you so far? Have you had a big aha? Do you have something that you learned that was new? Post that in the comments down below. I love hearing from you. Do you think this is all BS? Do you think this is pseudoscience? I want to know. No matter what it is, post it in the comments down below. You might be thinking, well, how do you actually get into Hemisync? How do you get beyond yourself? How do you do out-of-body experiences, Clark? Well, I'll put up the graph right here. I'll put a B-roll shot and show you. There's a state, a threshold that you reach with energy, right? Or your brainwaves, whatever you want to call it. In this paper, they call it the clicked out effect, or when you click out. I like that because you're like clicking out of the matrix. You're clicking out of yourself. It's called Planck's distance, okay? When things vibrate at a certain frequency, they click out. This distance is 10 to the negative 33 centimeters. They say that this begins the kind of Alice in Wonderland experience. So when you reach this threshold right here, using things like binaural beats, meditation, getting your brain in Hemisync, you start to click out and you can actually go beyond yourself. That's what they found. They say that when this happens, you actually move out of space and time altogether. So even though you might have an out-of-body experience that seems like a year, in reality, it could actually be 10 minutes. Really similar to how dreams work. And they talk about REM cycles here, where you're dreaming, and how that's very similar to an out-of-body experience. And that when you're dreaming, all of time becomes an illusion. You know, the average dream lasts about 7 minutes. Think about your last dream and how long that felt, okay? But it was really only 7 minutes. Space and time is kind of an illusion. And that's what that effect talks about, how when you move beyond space and time, time is really an illusion and doesn't exist. That makes sense? I want to underscore a point that wasn't really the point of this gateway process, but I just find is incredibly beautiful. And that is the patterns that life creates in. It talks about how our entire universe is in a cosmic egg. That is the shape of it. It's not round, it's not square, it's not anything, it's a cosmic egg. That's where all of life is contained. And when you look at an ovum that we all start from, right, in the female reproductive system, that's an egg, or eggs that hatch life. When you zoom back out of our Earth, you know, our rivers and our oceans and our lakes, the things you see. And then you compare that to the human body, it looks like your circulatory system where you have veins and arteries and capillaries, moving blood. Same thing on Earth where you have rivers, lakes, oceans, moving water, which is the life force. A very random note, you know, an avocado, when you slice that open and it has a little seed in there, you know, it kind of looks like a pregnant woman. And they say avocados are very good for pregnant women to eat. Doctors will say, eat an avocado a week for your pregnancy. The human body takes how long to grow? 9 months. An avocado takes 9 months to grow. Going further, you look at sacred geometry and the patterns of life. Life creates in patterns. You can see these everywhere, like the Fibonacci spiral. I love how beautiful life is and how it creates in such patterns and similarities. And again, reinforcing that all is one and one is all. As above, so below. Now you might be thinking, how do I actually achieve this gateway process, Clark? Like, how do I do it? What's the step-by-step? Monroe Institute has trainings. I looked online and some are like $2,000 to $5,000. So they're pretty expensive. They do have some lower level stuff where they sell the tapes. I found a few for free on YouTube. If you just type in the gateway process meditations, you can find a few. Essentially what I got from it is that it was taking participants over the course of weeks, months, and years, and that the longer they did these tapes, the longer they had the intention to get their brain into Hemisync, the more successful they were. So the first step is just be consistent with it. The next is you might want to consider doing what they did, which is a series of transcendental meditations. Now, I am no way, shape, or form an expert. I don't practice transcendental meditation, although after reading this, I might take it up. That's a mantra-based meditation where, again, you're getting that left brain in submission and you're beating it to boredom. So you repeat a word over and over again, a mantra, a series of words, and they really mean nothing. And that's the point. It gives your left brain something to do, something to latch onto while it gets tired. That on top of the binaural beats can really help lower those brainwaves down into the deeper and deeper levels. Once you achieve that over weeks, months of practice, it's much easier for you to go beyond yourself, to get in altered states and to have the Hemisync. There's advanced methods towards the end of this where it talks about how when you're so advanced at this, you can actually communicate with your higher self, is what it's called in here, which I think is so cool. This article lit me on fire. I mean, I'm so inspired to keep geeking out, researching and practicing. And I just think it's really cool that the CIA has like $20 million plus into this research, right? It's also disheartening that it's so public and you can literally go and read it and not many people have, or not many people know about it, or maybe even care. So if this video inspired you in some way, shape, or form, smash that like button, pay for this video with a like, and make sure you subscribe with those bell notifications set to on so you don't miss when next time we go absolutely crazy with CIA documents. All right, now I'm gonna go try and get my mind back. Till next time, stop settling, start living. See you in the next video.